Welcome to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Driver say, Dave, it's hard to believe we're already in the third week of February.
Almost done.
It's freaking insane how fast each year, and I know it's a sign of age, right? The older you get, it just seems like years. I sound like my grandma, my dad, mom, all of them that used to talk about that. The only ones it doesn't go fast for are the kids, right?
Yeah.
In school, because you have class, you have all this.
Seems
but
like
for us,
forever
it's
before
like
school.
Christmas is right around the corner.
Wait a minute.
I'm just saying it is. It's not far away. Winter's almost over. I know we got a blast coming in, one more blast coming in, but it's true. Winter is really almost over. We only have a couple more months left.
284 shopping days left.
Insane. It's insane. Yeah. Hey, so over the weekend we had the NBA All-Star Game. Not a big All-Star person. It's an offensive game when it comes to the NBA All-Star Game.
Yeah.
But Seth Curry, that dude just nailed in 16 three-pointers all over the place. I'm not talking like at the three-point line. The dude was all over the place.
Court.
Making everything everywhere. His range is amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is absolutely crazy, but he did 16 threes this just in. He probably just made another one. Watch this one right here. Just out of nothing.
Yeah,
let me tell you what. He did one three-pointer. We won't get a chance to see this one, but it was he made it. I can't remember who was guarding him, but he shot the ball, I'm telling you, from half court. And he turned around, the ball was still in the air, just looked at the guy in the eye the whole way. He looked at it was Trey, is who it was. He looked at Trey the whole time as he went down the court and it went in like 2 seconds later. He knew it was in before. As soon as he let out of his hand, it was in.
He was zeroed in.
Absolutely crazy is what he was.
Yeah, zero.
And you know what? In zero in, though, it's important. You know, you get in that zone, right? And we talk to our drivers about the same thing, about getting into that zone, about knowing what you're doing, knowing how to be zoned in on safety. You know, on knowing when, you know, sometimes as a driver, drive safe, Dave, at some point you had to felt like Curry, right?
All the time. Fella.
Yeah, where you were feeling it, right? Sometimes, there it is right here. That was his shot right there. When he made that shot, I'm going to show this and we can go. Watch. Ball's out of his hands. Watch him. He's already turned around. And he's looking at him in the eyes.
Like, no doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind. I don't even have to.
Real.
I'm going back to the other side.
It was crazy, but David, it is like that, right? Sometimes when you're driving, you're feeling it, right? You know you're in your zone. You see everything up ahead. You can tell when the traffic's coming to a stop, when somebody's going to cut you off. And then sometimes you're not in that zone.
Some days some days you're hitting all the threes that you shoot. Some days you can't land a bucket at all. Same way out there on the road. Some days you're driving along. Everything's going right. You're picking your load up on time and you're rolling down. Your parking space is big and wide and out in the open and nobody's around. And then other times everybody's against you out there on the road. They're stopping in front of you. They're cutting you off. The traffic is backed up. The weather is bad. That is not the right pickup number.
Yeah, right? Everything goes against you. There's no doubt about it. But, yeah, so we got to be ready to go. Hey, a quick shout-out to Bezos, Buffett, Warren Buffett, Brzezowski. It is President's Day. It is your day. And thank you, first of all, for all that you've done.
Wait a minute. Time out. Stop.
Well,
all right,
it's President's Day.
Okay, agreed.
Hold on a second. Are you saying that the president of companies don't matter?
Yeah,
There's a day for them. And
no, sir. It is a federal holiday to celebrate the most exalted that have held office for this country in the service of their country. Now, I know that may come as a surprise to you, but we're talking about some of the most prestigious and well-renowned presidents of all time. It also gives us a chance to recollect, look back, and reflect on the executive branch and what it does for our country. Yes, I'm not saying that big business isn't important. I'm not going to say that business is not important for this country.
Like
but I am going to say
you wish it was more regulated.
I am going to say that those that serve with for this country and sacrifice for this country, I am going to say that they should be celebrated and recognized for their accomplishments.
Hey, speaking of presidents, what do you think about the Ukraine's president's comments over the weekend when he tells the United States, he goes, and I almost laugh, and this isn't funny at all, but what are you waiting for? Because that's what he says here. He goes, hey, what are you waiting for? We don't need these sanctions after the invasion. If it's imminent, if in fact the United States, if you know that there's going to be an attack, put the sanctions in now. Drive safe, Dave. What's going to happen in that Russia-Ukraine area?
First of all, let me just say, as we look at it, and I've looked at it over the last several weeks. And
first of all, you said we.
We have looked at it over the last several weeks. My opinion is what is created here is a new norm for Eastern Europe, a new way to look at how Russia is playing the big stage. It's kind of like back to Cold War tactics, where not only do they there is the threat of invasion is always imminent now in that region, and Russia is going to flex its muscle and to have these forces once again. Before, remember, they were in Germany and the wall. We had Eastern and Western forces facing off. Now we're having it further east in Russia, and once again we're facing off in Western forces and Eastern forces. I think this is going to create a general new norm of European politics over the next.
All right, so we have 190,000 troops sitting over there on the border from Russia, and then there's another 30,000 in Belarus. Drive safe, Dave. Is there going to be an attack, or is it not going to happen? I said a week ago, I don't believe there's going to be one. I just think there's too much attention, and I pray to God, first of all, there's not one. Do you think it's still going to happen?
I do. The elevated tensions are rising, and not only that, the shelling has already started in the eastern part with the separatists.
Training.
Huh?
It's just training.
No. The actual
drills.
separatists.
Oh, gotcha.
The separatists that are in the eastern part of Ukraine they've already started the shelling back and forth. In fact, Russia claimed that one of their outposts were hit by a Ukrainian shell.
Gotcha.
So it's already started this talk and this going back and forth. What really surprised me and what really made it evident to me was they built the pontoon bridges. They built the bridges and staged them close to the rivers to get them ready to roll across, and they brought in blood from Russia toward their forward hospitals. So,
we see that part, and we've seen the increase in fuel across the United States.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's a major thing. The supply chain, again, we see continued cost go up. Just by the threat of it, Drive Safe.
Yeah, you're talking about Russia as a oil-rich nation, right? So they export a ton of oil. If we're not buying it and we're not allowing anybody to buy it
or make it,
we got we're going to have forced it to be on the open market again, and more people buying this less fuel is going to raise prices.
So we've seen comments over the weekend, and Drive Safe. What is the ultimate goal here for Russia?
The ultimate goal is to create a larger territory for their own country, to expand their territories to the former Soviet Union, as they said, with much more territory, because Ukraine gives them a vast region and also a huge buffer to the west, land to the west, between the NATO countries and Mother Russia itself.
Okay, hey, we got more news coming your way. This is BCB Live, and we're the safest station in the nation. Welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive safe out there in the Atlantic right now. As we've gone through as many problems with the supply chain, with COVID, everything, to include the chip shortage. And now there's a ship out there floating right now with over 4,000 electric EVs, electric vehicles, on board, on fire. And Dave, how do you fight a fire with those lithium batteries? Because it's not just water you need to put that out.
Actually, lithium and water, when they're combined, creates fire.
Yeah, not big friends, right? Why does a fire keep growing? I mean, you would almost think that it's in the best place to have a fire in the water, but not so.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the most dangerous thing aboard a ship is fire. I mean, and they train for it a lot. I'm not sure exactly how they're going to, this creates a new way to look at how to ship, how to transport these huge batteries, right? I mean, got to continue to think about safety. And here it is, these large batteries, being put on all the combined, it's got to be dangerous. And here it is relative, what's happening right here, bam, fire ship. And then how do you put out an electric battery fire? Did chemical fire extinguisher?
Yeah, they're struggling with that right now. And listen to this: there's over 1,100 Porsches on this boat, and over 189, or right at 189 Bentleys. And I know you know what, you drive Bentleys on your side of 360, and Dave, those aren't cheap vehicles.
Those are not cheap.
Those are not cheap.
Jack, you drive a Bentley? Yeah.
Which one? What year?
No.
Yeah, whatever. Everything about Jack says Bentley.
Yeah.
But, speaking of medals, drive safe, Dave, the U.S. came in 4th.
It did in the Olympics.
And, so for the 12 of you that watch the Olympics, you know what? 4th place, I guess, good job. First was Norway.
Norway was first. The ROC came in second. And, the drug-induced ROC came in second. Germany came in third, and then the United States rounded out in 4th.
Yeah,
Norway. I get how that's because they're in the winter. They don't show up for Summer Olympics, so that's all they got.
Yeah, again, I just, the whole thing. But you know what? Hey, congrats to Norway on that. Drive safe, Dave. Also we talked about yesterday. We talked about, so my weekend, I went out Fort Worth, okay, and I went out 7th Street area, okay? And that in Fort Worth, it's a poppin' area. I told my wife, I said, Kendra, hey, let's go listen to some country music. I just wanted to listen to the music. It was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We get out to Fort Worth, and the place is ghost town. I'm not talking like just nobody there. Businesses shut down out of businesses, like over there off of the movie tavern where you had Carl's Hamburger Place or Fred's Hamburger Joint. Out of business.
Yeah, over there. Oh, you're talking about over there by University and 7th and that place that was snapping and hopping and everything.
We went to an outdoor, like a college bar, just like, all right, maybe they had no music. Dave, there was probably 100 people outdoors, and I'm telling you right now, there were 3 people. There was a bartender, a waitress, and somebody walking around cleaning up. And that's all there was.
Their staff.
Their staff. And I'm telling you, the place was packed.
They make all their money at night.
Yeah.
I get it, but there was people there, and here's my thing, is that it made me, and as we talked about yesterday, it made me think about service. Right. Where service has gone in this country throughout this COVID. It's not the fact they had 3 people that bothers me. It's the fact that they didn't tell you, hey, you know what, go to the bar to order your food because it's going to be quicker, because I'm never going to come and see you. You know what, sir? When you come in here, sit wherever you want to. Go to the bar, order your drink, because if you wait on our one waitress, odds are she'll never come and see you.
Wow.
And it's a service, and it made me think, Dave, about what we do in logistics and transportation. And I'm not talking about the on-time pickup and on-time delivery. Again, not too concerned about that. It's everything else that I really have felt has also drastically gone down. From a customer service side, right? To telling your shipper, your receiver that, hey, we're going to be late. We don't have the power to pick it up. I think we all expect, shippers, receivers, they've learned to accept a little less. But what we have, I think, really done in our industry have reduced our communication to our customer and telling them the bad news and telling them the good news. You think about technology and where it is today, Dave, there's no reason why a trucking company, why a driver can't communicate to inform a customer that their load's going to be late.
And you know what? We look at it, and I agree with you 100%. You look at the system, it tells you it's going to be late. I mean, everybody looking at the load knows that it's going to be late. Might as well let that information out, and so it's no shock to the receiver. I mean, they get it, right? I mean, they get late loads.
But what's going on in our industry, Dave? I really do feel it's not acceptable. I mean, we don't like it going out into the world and going to the restaurants and having bad service. And again, if they're short on staff, that's one thing.
Right.
But just to be there and to let us sit in the table all day and not come and tell us that we're running short, that's separate. That's not the same thing. Yeah. And that's my point right there.
Uber
when it comes to the service side is,
where did you go?
What are we
Where'd
doing?
You go on West 7?
It doesn't. I went to. I don't even know what it was called. The outdoor.
Really depends.
It was the outdoor.
Okay.
Outdoor. But there was nobody at any restaurant except for that one. It was the only place that had it.
Restaurant, because I mean, like there's certain places you go or you don't go for food.
Let me tell you, have you gone to eat since COVID's happened?
I have.
I have. And have you seen great service?
We all talk about it.
We talk about all, except for where you go, because that's the country club. I'm sure at the country club it's staffed.
I don't go
but
to a
guess
country
what?
club. I don't have a
Everywhere
country
else in
club
America,
membership.
it's short staffed.
Absolutely, Rick, and you know what? Not only have we gotten less service because of COVID, and not being the interaction between humans, right? I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah,
but no, people aren't at work. People aren't there, and we're spending more money on goods than service. I mean, I just think that every time I've gone out to eat over the last year,
forget eating. We're talking about transportation.
Okay,
right
I got it.
What about what we are doing in this industry right here?
Okay.
We got COVID in place, and we've used that, Dave, to all of a sudden reduce our ability to communicate to our customers, to communicate with drivers even. And for the drivers, we talked about it yesterday too, is that, Dave, it's like when COVID happened, all of a sudden now it's okay to drop a trailer that's not really been post-tripped and maybe it has a bad tire, and to put that
onus.
blame or the onus on the other driver picking it up.
Right.
And we talk about the service, okay? And again, when I'm talking service, I'm not just talking picking up a load and delivering. I'm talking about the service that we as an industry have to provide one another, to provide to our customers, to provide to our CSRs, to each other within the industry.
Right.
That whole thing, how it's really gone kind of downhill. And when you think about trucking, when you think about transportation, to get a load from point A to point B, you wouldn't think it would be that hard, but there's a lot of things that have to happen in between.
Correct.
Including, you think about a dispatcher, a driver manager, a planning, the software, whatever. It not only does it try to pick up a load on time and deliver on time. Hey, Dave, guess what? It also has to make sure that the driver picking it up has the hours, that the driver picking it up is going to go somewhere to get back home on time.
Right.
And when we throw a wrench in that, meaning that we drop a trailer and it hasn't been post-tripped, and it's got a bad tire, bad brakes, airline, whatever it is, no planning, nobody can plan on that trailer not being ready to go for delivery.
Correct.
And when that happens, the service that trucking company, that the next driver receives is bad. Because now that driver's stuck with a trailer.
He's got to go change a tire.
He's got, and now he or she, Dave, and this is what, when I talk about the service, the effect, that driver now may not get home for their day, for their kids' baseball game, soccer games, wedding anniversary, whatever it is. They may not make it for that important day because all of a sudden we have just let the service go in all that we do.
Yeah, I mean, there is a trickle-down effect no matter what we do. When we don't do things right or when there is a wrench in the system. I mean, we do that all the time when let's say there's a weather situation, right, in which we have to set a bunch of trailers down and continue on. But if we don't set them down correctly or we don't provide the best quality of service on the trailers, you're just going to create a great problem across the board with a bunch of people. But, personal responsibility, doing the best you can, that's what we're talking about. And that includes every single day, day in, day out, making sure that you do what you can. Whenever you touch something, you got to make sure you do the best you can, right? The best you can.
You got to do your job.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's the best you can. You do your job.
Right.
Well, I gave it the old college try. No, you look at that tire. You actually have to do it. The best isn't not doing your job. And Dave, when we don't do our jobs, That's, again, that service that I'm referring to. And that's all of us. That's you out there listening, from a dispatcher to an owner to a driver. It's all of us. It's on this show right here. It's the same thing. We got to provide a service, right, to our listeners.
Correct.
And when we don't we're not doing our part. And we have used COVID over and over and over. And at some point, Dave, that's got to stop. COVID doesn't keep you from doing a pre-trip or a post-trip.
Nope.
COVID doesn't keep you from making sure that driver's dispatched properly.
Nope.
It doesn't make you, as a safety director at a company, wherever you are, from looking at those drivers and making sure they're running legal or teaching them how to be a safer driver.
Yeah.
It doesn't give us that right. And I feel like we've taken COVID too far. Enough's enough. All right? You wear the mask, you don't wear the mask. It's about accountability. Are you accountable to yourself? Are you accountable to the job that you're doing today? And that means driving. And when we bring it all back, Dave, it comes down to what our show is about, and that's safety. It is possible. It is possible to go a year without backing into something. It's just possible. And it doesn't, maybe it doesn't happen, but you really increase your odds of making it successful, Dave, when you do what?
Get out and look.
When you get out and look.
Yeah, in fact, and that's what you should do. That's your job.
Yeah, it's your job. It's what you're accountable for.
You get out and look.
You can, listen to this, you can go forever without running into somebody, without a rear end accident, if you watch your speed and your space.
That's correct.
I mean, if you keep your space and you're watching your speed and you're paying attention, the odds are much more in your favor of you not having an accident.
That's correct. If you control the space in front of you, the odds are you won't have an accident.
Accountability. If you don't run that daggum yellow light, red light's what we know it as, hey, guess what? The odds of that major accident happen, any accident happen, intersection, they just go down.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it applies to every single thing that you do, whether your seatbelt, right? If you wear your seatbelt.
Yes, everything.
Everything. And it does apply. And if you follow the steps and you do, like Rick says, your job every day, whenever you get out of that truck or get into that truck, you do your job, your odds, if you do it the right way every time, your odds of having a bad day are minimized, right?
They really are, and that's what it's about. When you're driving as many miles as you drive every day, you've got to make sure that you are reducing the odds of having an accident.
Correct.
And oftentimes, and we're not often, every time, that means it starts with that pre-trip. Making sure that your equipment, first of all, is ready for that next 500 miles ahead of you.
And then the post-trip to ready for the next person.
Yes.
Be trail-wise. Leave the trail better for you. Leave the trailer as good or better than when you got it. That way you know that they can pick it up and run.
Yeah, so Dave, I know it's 7:23, we should go to a break, but we're not going to. But when we think about the accountability, and it doesn't just end with the drivers, okay?
No.
It doesn't just start with the drivers either. It starts with the back office. It starts with recruiters. You don't just hire a body to put them in the seat.
Correct.
Right? I mean, let me tell you something. If you're in these times, we're 80,000 drivers short and blah, 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 blah. You don't hire a driver that's not qualified.
That's correct.
Can I tell you something, Dave? I was at a convention over last weekend, and I heard somebody say this. This is coming from a recruiter, okay, a director of recruiting, that said this. You know what? When we don't have drivers that are qualified, we go to the insurance company to see if I can get an exception on that person. And I thought about what they said there, and if they're not qualified, why would you get an exception? They're not qualified.
Exactly.
Am I making any sense?
Yes.
If for a recruiter, it starts with you. Let me tell you something. Safety manager, it starts with you. If they're not qualified, why would you go get it? If they go against your hiring standards, against your handbook, well, why would you get an exception? Doesn't it make any sense?
Right.
It's the minimum qualification, the minimum qualifications. And if somebody doesn't meet the minimum, you don't go look for an exception.
Yeah, they make it less. Now you have a new minimum.
Yeah, well, just, you know what? I might tell you something, and in any safety person tell you the same thing. You don't go against your handbook.
No.
So it starts there, right? It starts with hiring qualified drivers.
Okay.
As a driver manager, as a planner, let's just do driver managers, dispatchers is what many of you know. You know that the people that give the freight out. What responsibility, Dave, do they have in making this in creating safety amongst the company?
Oh, they have a big responsibility.
But how? They're just dispatching.
No, it's more than that.
Why?
It's more than that.
If you can't do the load, just tell me. If you can't make 800 miles in the next 10 hours, just let me know.
Why would you give a load to somebody that absolutely can't physically make it? If you've got to be the watchdog, you got to make sure that you're already, before you hand it out, you got to look at it and make sure that it fits the driver. Because if you don't, it's no fun to get a load that you're already late on. I mean, have you ever been a driver and you get a load that delivered yesterday? And you got it, okay, go pick it up and deliver it. And you're like, well, this delivered yesterday. This was supposed to be there. Yeah, I'm already late. Yeah, I mean, they're going to love me when I get there. I'm going to just tell you.
Do the best you can. Does that make you feel better?
No.
Why not?
Because I'm already late.
Thank you. And when you're already late, something inside of you says, I better hurry up.
Yeah, and you know what? And you've already defeated me, number one, as a driver. I'm not going to do what I intend to do, and that's to make the freight on time.
And you don't even want to get there. Think about, let's go here. So take your transportation hat off of freight. And now I want you to put your Domino's pizza hat on. Okay? You're the Domino's pizza person. And Dave, you're coming in here, and I'm saying, hey, here's your pizza. I need to go deliver this over to 221 Airport Drive.
All right.
It was supposed to deliver 8 hours ago, but you're good to go. They won't care. Just go do it. How excited are you to go inside and face those people?
Oh, and the tip is going to be amazing.
Oh, but Dave, that pizza's cold. Nobody at that Super Bowl party is going to be real excited to see you.
No.
As a matter of fact, they may be a little upset.
Yes.
And you are the one that's going to have, and at the end of the day, you're just the one that delivered it.
Yep.
But nobody looks at you as that person. You're the one that has their freight. Because somewhere down the line, they call Domino's and they go, hey, that dude was gone. I don't know where he is. He's right around the corner. He'll be there in 5 minutes.
Five
what
minutes.
we kept telling him. I don't know where he is. And all of a sudden now you get the blame.
Yep. Hey, where have you been? Why are you late? Where have you been doing? How come you're not here on time? You know what? Go to that. You know what? I'll get to you in a minute. I'll get to you. Go out there and wait. Come back in an hour and I'll let you know if you have a door. I mean, it just over and over. It just becomes a beatdown.
Do you all see what we're saying? How many hands? And we've only talked about two, and we haven't even talked about the driver yet. We've talked about the recruiter. We've talked about the dispatcher/planner. The importance of safety in their lives regarding that driver and making sure that driver is mentally okay and mentally prepared to make that safe delivery. Not on freaking time, safe. Not killing anybody, not hurting him or herself, getting that package there, getting that load delivered on time, or on safe. That's what we are talking about. We're going to be right back in about 60 seconds. We're going to have that phrase that pays. This is BCB Live, and we're the safest station in the nation. Before we get to that phrase that pays, drive safe, Dave, you have your railroad shirt, your railroad crossing sign. Tell us a little bit about what that means.
This is a sign that demonstrates the traffic pattern up ahead, and it basically shows that a railroad and a roadway both not only cross but run parallel, and you need to be wary of the traffic pattern ahead because there may not be enough room between the highway and the railroad.
All right, drive safe, Dave. Can you give us that phrase that pays?
Absolutely. We give you a phrase and make it pay so you can put safety in your mind and make it stay.
Whoa, 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 whoa. All right, first of all, who gave us this phrase that pays? That's somebody with a lot of time. That may be my favorite one ever right here.
I need to check on that. But it was one of our drivers.
That's a solid one right there. Give us one more time, Travis.
We give you a phrase and make it pay so you can put safety in your mind and make it stay.
Tell us what it means.
Man, that's what we do here. We give the phrase that pays and give away cash so that you can think about the phrase and how it applies to you out there on the road and be a little bit safer. Keep that jingle going, right? We created a little jingle in your mind so that you can be safe out there on the road.
Yeah, think of ways to incorporate that phrase that pays into how you act today, this week. Every time we have these phrases, sometimes they don't rhyme, but they all have a great meaning, and that's safety, and ways that you can incorporate that in your patterns, in your day-to-day life to keep our roads safe. Folks, we're going to be back in 60 seconds. In the middle of the week, coming at you in 60 seconds on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Hey, good Monday morning to everybody, and welcome to the Safety Show on BCP Live, the safest station in the nation. You got Double Check Dale here standing in for Buckle Up Bob this morning on this Monday. Hey, let's take a look at some traffic in the Dallas-Fort Worth area to start off. Hey, if you're over on the Fort Worth side, you know, it's going to be the normal areas of congestion for you, and that's going to be on 35W coming in where it merges with 81. And then again, where it merges with 820, you're going to see some slowdowns there. But in the downtown area, it looks pretty good this morning. Mid-cities look really good this morning. Coming over to the Dallas side, you know what? 635 loop up in that Garland area, that's where you're going to see some traffic on the northbound or westbound lanes there. Downtown Dallas on 30 going into the city, you will see some congestion there. Also 30 out in the Rockwell area before you get to the lake. Westbound lanes, you're going to see some slowdowns and some traffic there. The 45 split, where 45 and 175 split is just a little bit south of Dallas. You're going to see some congestion and back up there. But overall, traffic looks pretty good this morning. So, you know, enjoy the commute. It is a holiday, federal holiday, so traffic will probably be a little light this morning. Well, I say that, and then we go to Houston, and Houston has a lot of traffic going on this morning, a lot of issues. First one out on that WPT tollway out in Alief area. The eastbound lanes, right before the Sam Harris tollway, you're going to see the Sam Houston tollway, I'm sorry. You're going to see some congestion there at that merge point, so expect a major slowdown out there. The outer loop looks really pretty good this morning all the way around. It's that inner loop, that 610 loop on the north side of Houston. All the merge points, 69, 45. That's where the slowdowns are on that north loop of 610. So be prepared to, you know, pack your patience there. 69 right before it gets in, southbound lanes. Lots of congestion there, so expect some major delays in that area. If you can avoid the downtown area, please do, because traffic looks really tied up with heavy traffic and congestion down there. 45 coming into town from the south, that Gulf Freeway, right in the Park Place area, we see a slowdown there, some heavy traffic. 10 going out to the east look pretty good today, and then, you know, 69 coming in and 45 coming in actually look pretty decent. Going to Kansas City, well, no weather issues up there this morning to speak of because everything in Kansas City is looking green. Enjoy the commute in Kansas City. Chicago, federal holiday, and my goodness, the only red I am seeing on the map, the only slowdowns I am seeing in the map is that loop area in downtown Chicago. Everything else in Chicago looks green and go this morning, even over on the Indiana side. So if you're out in the Chicago area, you know, enjoy the commute because traffic looks decent this morning. Going to Atlanta, you know, Atlanta, 20 coming in from the west, right where it hits, that's 285 on the west side of town. That's where you're going to see the slowdowns and the merge at that merge point. So pack your patience in that area. If you're taking 285 around on the south side of Atlanta, traffic is moving really very well this morning. Just a slight slowdown at the 75 merge point. If you are on the north 285 loop, you get up to the top of the loop, Sandy Springs area. That's where you're going to see the slowdown, and you get a slowdown on 285 all the way from 75 all the way over to about 141. So if you're up in that area in Sandy Springs on the 285 north loop, be prepared to have some delays, some slowdowns, lots of patience there. Just slow it down, increase your space, your following distance, and just let it happen because traffic is heavy up in that area this morning. Other routes, Nashville, no, that's okay. Other routes up in the Atlanta area look pretty decent. 85 coming in from the north looks good. And if you're going south out of town, or 85 coming in from the south, or 75 from the south, they all look really good in Atlanta. So overall, traffic's pretty light in Atlanta also. Now we'll go to Nashville. Nashville, here's where your trouble points are. If you're coming in from the south on 24 in that Bakertown area, Antioch, all the way down to Kimbrough, really heavy traffic there. Expect some stop and go delays there. Lots and lots of delays, heavy traffic there. So that's going to be a problem area. You're going to see some slowdown there. Expect some delays. That 24 where it meets 40 out on the east side of town, the merge point there, that's heavy traffic and some slowdowns. 24 and 65 on the north side of town, coming into town, very heavy traffic there, some slowdowns. But the downtown area of Nashville actually looks pretty good this morning. 40 from the west looks good, and 40 out on the east side of town looks good. 65 going south of Nashville looks really good also. Baltimore and Washington, D.C. Well, it's a federal holiday, and so traffic out in those areas is very light, and the traffic maps or the road maps will show that because there is nothing much going on out in the Washington, D.C. area. If you go up to the Baltimore area, same thing can be said up there. Traffic looks very light. Looks like you're going to have a really wonderful commute out in the Baltimore, Washington, D.C. area. Philadelphia looks really good this morning also. National holiday will do that. You know, a lot of lighter traffic. The only areas of concern that I see in the Philadelphia area is that downtown area, 76 and that 90 where it goes south at Gray's Ferry. A little bit of heavy traffic in Fishtown area on 95. If you come over to the Indiana side, you will see really good traffic on the Jersey Turnpike and 295. So enjoy the commute out in Philadelphia. Light traffic this morning. Last stop this morning is Indianapolis, and like most of the other cities today, looks really, really good. No areas, major areas of concerns or slowdown that we're seeing on the big picture. So if you're out in the Indianapolis area, enjoy your commute also out there. Okay, so here comes the weather. We will spend a little bit of time on weather because it is a very active weather map right now. We're going to start with precipitation. Currently, we have a snow band that starts, or a precipitation band that starts out on the west coast. If you're out in the Oregon along the coast in Washington area, you are going to see a real mixed bag of precipitation, everything from freezing rain to rain, snow pellets, ice, mixed ice, the whole works out there on the coastal area of Washington and Oregon. But as you start shifting to the east, you're going to see snow in the higher elevations in those two states. And then northern Idaho and Montana, they are getting snow just about the whole area, coming all the way across to North Dakota, the northern half of South Dakota, most of central and northern Minnesota, and the upper Wisconsin right now are getting snow. Other areas of snow right now is in that Reno, Nevada area. Donner Pass is probably picking up some snow. A little bit of rain to the west of that in the lower elevation. Central Nevada is picking up snow and snow with rain and some wet snow. Higher elevations of Utah look to be picking up. Salt Lake City right now is getting snow. As far as rain, down on the Houston Gulf Coast area, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama are starting to see some rain showers going on right now. As we move that ahead to this afternoon, about 5 o'clock this afternoon, the snow band really doesn't change much up in the northern tier. It just starts to expand a little bit further to the west in Colorado. And so now most of the western half of Colorado is seeing some form of precipitation, whether it be that wet snow or just regular snow, rain in the lower elevations. The thunderstorms and rain showers down in the Gulf Coast have shifted a little bit to the east, and so now most of Mississippi, Georgia, Alabama, parts of central Tennessee, Arkansas are seeing precipitation this afternoon around 5 o'clock. And then out in West Texas, just some scattered showers going on out there. As we go into the overnight hours tonight, this is where the fun, well, I shouldn't say fun, but this is where the ice and snow really starts to kick in. This is 10 o'clock this evening. We see that snow band that we were talking about in the upper Midwest started to shift a little bit to the south. So now the northern half of Nebraska is now getting snow. But when we come over into Iowa and southern Wisconsin, we see a very large band of freezing rain in the northern part of Iowa, northeastern part of Iowa, and all the way across Wisconsin, and then over into Michigan, we see some freezing rain going on. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Snow to the north of that. Those rain showers in the Gulf Coast area have shifted a little bit north. Tennessee and southern Missouri is getting rain this evening, the overnight hours. Showers moving into the northern Texas area, southern Oklahoma area. Dallas could get wet over in the overnight hours. As we go to tomorrow morning, we see the showers have just exploded. We have rain all the way from Dallas up to Chicago, covering most of Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky. So a lot of rain tomorrow morning. Some of those storms could be severe, so we'll have to watch for the winds. But now the ice that we're talking about starts all the way down in Kansas City area, goes up through central Iowa, probably catch Des Moines, and then works its way over into eastern Iowa and southern Wisconsin, northern Michigan. So just a lot of freezing rain going on tomorrow morning. Early, we'll have to keep an eye on it, see what's going on. And then again, a lot of snow covering South Dakota, Nebraska, the Omaha area, just beyond that fringe of whether it'll be ice pellets or snow, heavy wet snow, or freezing rain. So we'll keep an eye on that. And like I said, lots of showers going on in the Ohio Valley. By tomorrow afternoon, and the ice freezing range shifts a little bit to the east, and so it gets out of the Iowa area and goes up into the northern Michigan, really out of the United States, gets up into Canada. But those showers, thunderstorms, are still lingering all the way from the Houston Gulf Coast area. Now they're back in Louisiana, rain all the way up into Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, Massachusetts. So just a lot of precipitation going on currently. And then tomorrow night, the overnight hours, let's take a quick look at that. Most of the ice again has moved to the north of us, but now we're seeing another snow event happening out west that's going to take on all of Utah, most of Colorado, southern Nebraska, so that I-76 is definitely going to be affected. And then the northern part of Arizona is picking up a lot of precipitation. So with that, let's take a look at some winds, because I think we have some issues going on with winds today in the next couple of 24 hours, 36 hours. Currently the winds look pretty decent. But the area in the next 24 hours, the area that we're really going to have to watch for high winds is up in this Flagstaff, Arizona area. It's expecting some very, very high winds. There's a gust of 67 miles an hour up in that Flagstaff, Arizona in the next 24 hours. Most of New Mexico, southern New Mexico, the Texas Panhandle, very high winds, strong winds going out there. We'll have to take a look at that, see if we need to put any restrictions on there, working their way up into the Texas Panhandle and Oklahoma Panhandle. Like I said, that's the next 24 hours where we're going to see those wind accumulations and wind really starting to pick up out in that area. So we'll keep an eye on that. As we go into the overnight hours, those winds still up in that Flagstaff, Arizona, northern Arizona area, just very strong. And then scattered throughout New Mexico, very strong winds. The winds in the panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma very strong. And then that southeast corner of Colorado this evening, strong winds with western Kansas. In central Nebraska, where they're going to be picking up that snow and precipitation, the winds have picked up out there also. So we will definitely keep an eye on what's going on with those as we go to the tomorrow morning. Those high winds still prevail out in the Flagstaff, Arizona, northern Arizona area, parts of New Mexico, and then the higher elevations of the Rockies. But through central United States, Nebraska, South Dakota, Kansas, we're going to be looking at some stronger winds there. Also, an area of stronger winds in northern Arkansas, southern Missouri. So, like I said, a lot of stuff going on there with the winds. So with that, we will take a short break and come back and talk some safety.
And welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Yeah, we got a little bit of wind coming up ahead of us. I saw that. You know what? We got to remember that when that wind happens, that we got to pay attention, Dave. Even if you have an empty trailer or a loaded trailer, wind, it's still wind, right? I mean, it's still treating you the same way. Granted, those empty trailers, they get blown a little harder. However, you don't mess around with that wind.
No, I can tell you right now, just out of experience, it doesn't matter if you're loaded or empty or what have you. When you get hit with a gust and you're going down the highway, you're going to get pushed into another lane. You've got to be mindful of where you're at, what's going on all the time, and react accordingly and be aware of that situation. Whether you come over a small bridge or you come around a gully or someplace, or even come around another truck, you're going to get hit by a gust of wind and you might get pushed into another lane where somebody else is. So you've got to be very, very careful.
Yeah, so one thing you want to make sure you do, and correct me if I'm wrong here, is you want to make sure when it's windy, it's gusty like that, that you go even faster so you can cut the wind. Is that right? Am I right or wrong?
No, okay, I'm going to rule of safety number one. Here you go, Sir Rick. Rarely do we ever tell you to go faster in a difficult situation. Normally we tell you to slow down, approach the situation with caution, and then judge from there. This is also one of those situations. No, it's not a great idea to speed up when it's high wind. It's a good idea to slow down.
Yeah, it's not NASCAR where we're drafting through the wind there, sir.
All right. I just wanted to make sure, because I think sometimes we think that way, right? Out there driving, we see some of these videos that we get shared. I'm saying when I see the videos on here, that's what I see. Oftentimes, reducing that speed is the answer to everything. But when we see videos here and it's not being done, Dave, I mean, I must not be alone. Otherwise, why would anybody else do that?
Bad choices. Well,
I don't know what it is, but it's well, you can call it bad choices, right? It's obviously bad choice, but it's got to be some kind of belief, or they wouldn't do it. If in fact speeding up meant less safe, why would anybody really do that part?
It's, they have to be aware of that situational awareness, and so maybe they got distracted, aren't really paying attention what's going around, and so it just goes back to situational awareness, being aware of what's happening around you. When you feel that first gust, that's probably not going to be the last one. And at that point, you've got to slow it down. Like I said, empty trailer, over 40 miles an hour, we should probably get off the road, because it's pretty easy to blow one of those bad boys over. So, we just have to get into that decision, making the good decision.
But hold on. I'm going to go. You guys are acting like I'm on the island by myself, and I don't feel like I'm by myself. I have seen many videos where has the curve right there, and it says 20 miles an hour, and we're going 35 or 40. Again, I must not be alone in my thought process. Some people must believe that. I know it says 20, but it's safer at 30 or 40. Otherwise, why would they do it? That's all I'm asking.
Well,
I'm not alone.
You're not alone. I do believe that a lot of people, and one of the reasons why we have sign recognition here is because we want people to not only understand what they mean, because I think a lot of signs out there, people don't know what they mean, and also to obey the signs. They're not suggestions. They're cautionary, and they're also they're not recommendations. They are the law. And you and I both know, Rick, if you've been out here on I-20, we know what the speed limit is. Are they all doing the speed limit?
I don't know.
They're
passing me.
You don't know.
They're passing me, so they must not be.
You don't know? Why would you say that?
I don't know.
You obviously know.
You said they all. I don't know if they all are. They all are.
A great portion.
Not all know.
A great portion of them are a great portion of them obeying the speed limit.
An awfully lot. So again, and again, I'm not talking about the four-wheeler. I'm talking about the big trucks. Is that if in fact we do these things and we say like it's second nature, slowing down is obviously right. Obviously, you wouldn't go faster because it's blowing 90 miles an hour. But why do we do it? That's my thing. Why? I mean, if we know all of this, if everybody knows what y'all know, why would you do it if you know that only bad things can happen?
Well, I think a lot of times drivers get that false sense of security. You know, they think, I know my limitations, but you really never know your limitations to once you exceed them, and then it's too late. And so I think that's what it is. A driver, well, I've been in this situation before and I got away with it. But that's the wrong thought process, because it only takes once, that big gust when you go around that corner too fast to blow you over. And so false sense of security, just thinking we've got to get there, thinking we got to be there on time, we got to make that delivery.
So do you think there's outside forces creating that false sense that says I must drive faster because I'm losing time? Because if I slow down and go 35 or 40 miles an hour in this speed for the next 60 miles, I will not make my on-time delivery. Do you think that happens, and that's what keeps us driving perhaps faster than we should?
Absolutely. I think that we all have that in we all have that in the back of our mind. We don't want to fail.
So what do we need to do then to keep this? Because, and that's my point, is that sometimes it takes that phone call from the dispatcher,
Absolutely.
from the safety manager that says,
Absolutely.
hey, everybody, listen, we have some major wind. I need you to get on the phone with your drivers to make sure that we know that they aren't going to be on time. And we've already contacted the customers tomorrow to say, odds are we may be a little late. Can you buy us some time? We're going through a lot of wind right now. We want our drivers to be safe. What can we do as an industry to make it safer for those men and women out there, those heroes, those highway troopers, to make it safer for them to get their minds right? And that's what I'm talking about, to help them get their minds right, because I agree there's no chance anybody would intentionally think it's safer to drive faster in that wind. But we do. We drive faster than we should. And that's my thing, is like, man, we got to find ways. And it's not like crazy innovation I'm talking about. I think it's just loving one another. I think it's just giving a crap about somebody else, about using the technology, using the data to say, you know what? There's no chance this guy's going to be on time. There's no chance she's going to make it. We need to let them know it's okay. We've already contacted the shipper receiver. We bought you 3 hours. Just be safe, okay? How much more relaxing is that? How much more does that make a driver? Dave, you've been out there. Dave, you've been out there. I mean, wouldn't that make you just feel a little bit better?
Yeah. Absolutely would make me feel more secure. And also...
So stop. So do we do that, though? Do we? You just said it would make you, absolutely make you. And now my question is, do we do that every time? Does a driver, manager, dispatcher, safety, do we do things in place to do that? If, in fact, it does make you feel better, why wouldn't we do that every time? Because we don't do it every time. Let's be honest, right? In our industry, we're too busy solving today's problems. We're too busy to do, you know what, I was going to, but they know it. Oh, they know it. All right, you know what, I got a flat tire that I'm fixing because somebody dropped a trailer that was jacked up. And now I'm spending time doing this. Oh, you know what, Somebody called in sick, so now I got 2 fleets I'm looking after. I don't have time to call him or her. I'm not doing that. If it makes us safer, David, this is my innovation of the day. If it makes us safer, why don't we do it every time? If in fact it could possibly save a life or could possibly make your life, a driver out there, better, why wouldn't we do it? That's my question to you.
Great question.
But it's an easy answer, right? You pick up the phone because I love you, because your life's important to me, because I want you to get back, because I want you to know that it's okay to be late. I want you to focus right now, and when I call you up, I'm going to reiterate that, you know what, I want you to be safe right now. Do you even feel safe moving, or should you pull off the road? All of these sayings are like crazy innovations that I'm talking about. It's just communicating. Oh, we got COVID. Yeah, I can't communicate anymore. COVID's here. We'll wait for the TV show. We'll announce it on the TV program. That's what we have the program for. You know what I'm saying? Where do we just, hey, I want you to know the weather's bad. I see it. I've already contacted your ship receivers. You're going to be a few hours late, and if you make it, that's fine, but I want you to know I've already bought you 3 hours. If you need to pull over, let me know, and I'll call them up, and I'll buy you as much time as you need, because I want you safe. Dave, I'm done. I just hung up the phone, and it hadn't even been 30 seconds. Do we not have 30 seconds to place on life?
Absolutely.
Then why don't we, and I'm talking to you, the industry, and right now the drivers, you know what, I'm not talking to you, although I'm going to talk to you too, but I'm talking to the dispatchers across America. Then why don't we, David? You've been a dispatcher. Why don't we?
That's a great point.
No more. I don't need any more great questions. I'm full of great questions. Why don't we? Give me an answer. Why don't we?
Here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are right here. And just like everybody else, we don't get the big picture. And whether you're in the truck or outside the truck or at a dispatcher, you're looking at here and you're trying to run down and you're trying to get to all your guys and you're right here. And you're trying to do everything you can to do it right. And you're right here and you're focused on right here and you're not getting the big picture is what you're talking about. And the big picture is about safety. It is about the weather. It is about...
Well, is it though? That's my point. Is it? Because if it was, then you would take this crap off. You would throw the blinders away. If it was, is it? Is it? And you be careful, because you can't answer for every dispatcher out there.
I can't.
Right? You can answer for you.
I can.
Is it that important to you to make a difference? Is it that important to you to pick the phone up? As a safety, Dale, you have a real job as well, and that's to manage safety. Is it that important for you to make sure that we are contacting these drivers? We're doing what we can to let them know, and everybody that works for you or works in the safety industry, is it that important?
It is that important.
Do we do it, though?
Not every time.
Not every time. And when it comes to hashtag in the street Texas, let's talk about that. Going on 21 years of a death now, over 21 years since November the 11th or something like that, of some kind of fatality on a Texas highway. It's obviously not getting down to the driver. It's obviously not getting to the mom or the dad, to the kid driving the vehicle, to the pedestrian walking in the roadway, to the four-wheeler, to the big truck, to everybody. We've gone now to over 21 years of a fatality on a Texas road. At some point, all of what I'm saying just takes action. It takes action to know that, you know what, I'm drunk, I can't drive. It takes action that says, I'm going to get drunk, I'm not taking my keys, I'm going to Uber. It takes action to say, hey, you know what, son, daughter, you know what, I know you're going out, but it's Friday and I'll come pick you up. To the big truck that says, you know, I'm worn out. And you know what, and you talked about pushing limits. You never know how too tired it is until you fall asleep. And then it's too late. When do we take that step that says, you know what, we can talk, blah, 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 safety, 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 yeah, blah, blah, blah. It takes action. And if safety was that important to all of us, then every truck, every trailer would be preacher, poster, if it was that important. Am I right?
Yeah, nobody would.
If I cared about safety.
Yeah, absolutely, and nobody would speed on the highway.
Yeah, I get it. No, but I'm talking about me. I'm
Yeah.
talking about you, the driver.
I agree.
You can't control what somebody else is doing. You can only control what you are doing.
Absolutely.
So if you are in control of that, every time you should pre-trip and post-trip that trailer. Every time you should get out and look.
Absolutely.
Every time when the weather's bad, you should call somebody up and say, hey, listen, I get it, or communicate in some form of manner. Every time. If safety is truly that important to each and every one of you, then you would do anything to protect it. Anything to protect life. Anything. Everything. How about that? And you would actually do it. And Dave, how do we get this industry to be full of action? Dale, how do we get us to be full of action? Not talk the good fight, but do the good fight. Do the training. To go out there and battle and be safe. How do we do that? Isn't that the challenge?
That is the challenge.
We can talk all we want to, blah, blah, blah. How do we do it? How do you do it? Because only you can do what you can only be accountable for what you are. And it goes back to that accountability. We opened up the show talking about accountability. Dave, we can be accountable for what we have. And if we truly own that accountability, we can make this industry safe. Dave, you want to close with a prayer?
Yeah, dear Heavenly Father, we gather before you today to ask for your grace in all things. Father, we come before you to ask for a special blessing today to get us out there and be safe, to keep our mind safe and our mind right, to give us the ability to do what needs to be done. Help us be a special person today, not only for ourselves, but for others around us each and every moment. Help us to be a blessing upon their lives in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Father, give us the strength and the courage to do what's right, to do what's meaningful, and to do what makes a difference. Father, we ask all these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. This is BCB Live. We'll see you this afternoon. Stay safe. Make it happen. God bless each and every one of you.